this video, I'm going to go through 3 or 4 common pitfalls that people have when they try to use the Lasercutter. So I'm not going to go into the actual sending files to the Lasercutter because I'm actually recording this off my my computer. But I'm going to show people things that they often get wrong when, or problems they often have when they're using Lasercutter. So the first thing is when you create a new file. So I could select off these things here, but really what you want to do is you want to go off Create New. And when you go to Create New, it doesn't matter what you have here. You want to go to Web. And the reason why you want to go to Web is because see how we've got RGB color space, red, green, blue. Whereas if we go to Print, we get CYMK colors, right? We don't want those colors because the Lasercutter only detects red and blue. So it doesn't detect magenta or cyan. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose Web. I like to use millimeters because we're cutting things in real space. I make it the size of the bed, which is 600 by 300, but that's not necessary. So now that I've checked that the color mode is RGB red, we're going to go Create. Now the next thing is I use there's different workspaces, which are different ways of laying out how your stuff on Illustrator is going to look. So if I go here, Window Workspace, I use the Essentials Classic workspace, whereas by default it's in Essentials. Now, if you're using I'm using a Mac, but if you're using the Windows machine, you'll see Essentials written up here, and you can just click there. But if not, you can go to Window and Workspace and Essentials Classic. Now, there's a couple of advantages for this. I've laid out my Essential Classic different to what it would look like automatically, but the key thing is you've got these, this part of the window here is really important. So we have our fill, we have our stroke colors, we have our stroke width, we also have our line types and our line widths. So first thing is I'm just going to create a circle, and if I want to create a circle, these things are all drawers that show different tools. And this is the rectangle tool. In the same shape, same drawer as the rectangle tool, we have the ellipse tool, the polygon tool, star tool, those sorts of things. So if we want an ellipse, we can go select that. We can either go to the 5th drawer, we can either right click, or we can hold down, or if we want, we can just, if we know the key is L for ellipse, we can just press L and you see it changed. If I go M, it goes to rectangle, so see how it's changing with the keys. Okay, so if I say I want an 80 by 80 mil circle that I want to cut, I've created my shape. Now let's say I want to put it in the center. There's I've made other videos where I talk about aligning and using the Pathfinder tool. But we're just going to say, let's assume that all we want to do is cut one circle. There's a couple of things that we still need to do. So the first thing is we need to, well, we're going to look at this here is that we don't see the word uniform in that box. If we don't see the word in the variable width profile, if we don't see uniform there, that means it won't cut. It won't transfer to the Lasercutter. So what I do is I click where it says basic. I wonder if I just click on basic. Yep. I then go to the charcoal pencil. It doesn't matter what I use. And now you can see the uniform has shown up. I had to call the guy. There's a LST support, and if you phone up and you say you're from Kirrawee High School, whatever, they will check and say, oh yeah, you're a customer, and they'll give you support. And that's how I solved that problem. Well, by asking someone else. Okay, so once we've got uniform, we can't stay on charcoal. We have to go back to basic. So we need to select our object, and okay, that's fine. So it's uniform and basic. Once we've got that, we then need to change our color, and our color needs to be RGB workspace. So we can see that when we hover over red, it says RGB red. If you hover over green, RGB green, that sort of stuff. If it says CYMK, it's not going to work. So the only thing you can do there is just start again. Stop, create a new file, and start. You can maybe bring things in, but there are problems if you bring in a drawing or a picture and you're going to trace around that. You're going to have problems because by default it will often change the color space. So yeah, if you start using that method, that probably should work. The next thing that you need to do is the line type needs to be hairline thin. thin. So what I would recommend you do is I set it to 001. Right? I guess I think I've tried 007 does work if that helps you remember it. But you know, dangerous job. You need this laser cutting. You could think of Bond when he's like, "Do you expect me to talk?" No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to. Anyway, whatever it is. So they're the three main things you want to look at. Is if you don't see uniform, it's not going to work. If you don't see RGB red, it's not going to work. If you don't see a small number like 007, 001, it's not going to work. From that, it's making shapes and those sorts of things. There's printer settings, but you should be able to follow that all on the sheet that Dan has made previously. They're three of the main pitfalls that people have when they're laser cutting.